Welcome and thank you for joining us for a talk with STEM Ambassador Shannon. Shannon has recently completed her degree apprenticeship in quantity surveying at Kier, which is a leading provider of infrastructure services, construction and property developments. To celebrate National Apprenticeship Week, Shannon will explain about the diversity of roles within the construction industry, as well as her personal career path from school into her current role. Hi, Shannon.
Hi everyone. I'm just here to talk to you about my experience on the degree apprenticeship through Kier. So a little bit about me. My name, Shannon. I'm 28 years old and I've been working for Kier for 7.5 years. So I'll get on to more about who I've worked for Kier and what the dynamics have been and what roles I've done throughout this presentation. With my schooling experience. So at school, I attended a St John Fisher Catholic Comprehensive School. I achieved 12 GCSEs, grade A star to C. I enjoyed sport most of all, above all subjects, to the point where a lot of my peers and teachers thought I would leave school and go to university and do sport. Much to their dismay, I didn't. I went on to do 4 A-levels, graded A star to C, and that was in sports science, sociology, travel and tourism and finance. I was head girl at sixth form, but upon leaving school, I didn't actually know what I wanted to do. And my school was very much, you're going to university. There was no wiggle room of there's the world of work or there's apprenticeships. That wasn't even a conversation, unfortunately. It was just, you need to apply to university. So I didn't know where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. So I grabbed a prospectus off the shelf of my head of year, and a random one, and I closed my eyes and I flipped through the pages, and whatever page my finger landed on, that's what I picked. So I ended up applying to Canterbury University to do early childhood studies, and I studied there for a year, which will later come on to find. So yeah, unfortunately, no other route into working was ever advertised, especially construction. That was never advertised as a career path for myself. So just onto my career path. So as mentioned, I left school in 2013 and went to university to study early childhood studies. In the year that I was there, I had the pleasure of travelling to India and spending 3 weeks travelling across there, working with children across different environments in schools, which was really interesting and one of the best things I've done. But when it came to the end of the year, I unfortunately didn't feel like it was best suited to me. I remember being in a lecture and the lecturer asking, so who wants to be a primary school teacher, for example, and every single student put their hand up and I just didn't. So I knew that it was not the place for me. So I left school, left university, sorry, and I actually worked 3 jobs at the time, 1 in retail and 2 in hospitality. And then I left my 3 jobs and I started working for a subcontractor who worked off the back of Kier for a utilities company. And then off the back of that, in 2015, I moved back into the education industry. So even though I come out of university, even though I didn't want to be a teacher, I wanted to work with children in some respect. So I ended up being a HLTA, which is a higher level teaching assistant at a secondary school, and I worked with special educational needs children, and I really loved that job. But the progression wasn't there for me unless I wanted to go back to uni. So a lady I used to work with at my old job in utilities for a subcontractor, she then worked for Kier, and she brought me over as a commercial admin for Kier Utilities. And I'll get on more about utilities in a second throughout this presentation. So I've been with Kier since 2017. In 2019, I started a QS degree apprenticeship and was essentially promoted from a commercial admin to a trainee QS. In 2019, later on that year, I was promoted to assistant QS. And then in July 2022, I moved to Kier Construction, and the reason for the change from utilities to construction was because we'd lost the contract on utilities. So when that happens, it's the contract itself got 2P'd over to another contractor, and I didn't want to leave Kier because obviously I was doing the degree, and luckily for me, I was able to go upstairs in my Alsford office, and construction was above us. So utilities was downstairs, construction was above, and I was able to go upstairs and ask the MQS and the commercial director if they had any roles available. And luckily they did. They had an upcoming project called HMP Elmley, and I was appointed as the assistant QS on that project. And then in December this year, so I'd been with construction. I've been with them a year and a half now, almost coming up to 2 years in July. In December this year, I finished my degree, and then today I'm still working as an assistant QS at Kier Construction, and I've obtained a first in my degree in quantity surveying. So the full Kier apprenticeship was 5 years, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a really good experience, and I recommend it to anyone, as you'll learn throughout this presentation. So my role as an apprentice. So Kier accepted me on the degree apprenticeship for the quantity surveying degree. You get to work and learn at the same time. So this is where Kier pays for my tuition, my travel, my expenses up to Sheffield Hallam University as well. That's the university we're appointed to that you can see on the left. So 4 weeks out of the year, they're called block weeks. So 4 weeks out of each year. So for 5 years, I travelled to Sheffield Hallam University for block weeks, where we attended lectures and seminars relating to the topics we were studying. And the weeks were in February, May, September and November. So when you're at university, the evenings are free for you to study or go out or socialise with friends. And then after that week, you'd come home after each block week to complete your required modules, which are submitted online at set dates throughout the year. And a good thing about it is they often record the lectures and the seminars and put everything online so that you can refer back to it. It's not like that block week you have to take all your notes down and that's all the information you get. They're recorded, so you can refer back to them. So the benefits, I got to work full time alongside the degree, learning and earning simultaneously. And you would have seen throughout my timeline, my career path, I've progressed. So from commercial admin to trainee QS, AQS, and then hopefully up to QS level by the end of this year. So you record your experience and the new tasks carried out, the age of development in your role through a system called METAS. And I also got to lean on the support from my colleagues in cohort, which I wouldn't be in the position I am if it wasn't for a supportive team. So why choose an apprenticeship? So why I chose a degree apprenticeship, it's a viable career path ahead of me with zero student debt. So as you previously learned, I went to university when I first left school, and I actually have a year's worth of student debt that I'm currently paying off month by month. Even though it's not much monthly, it's still a debt that I needed to pay back. You get supported by a company that would help drive my progression. You could learn and earn at the same time, exposure to both theory learning and practical learning. I'm best at practical learning. I like to visualise, and then that's how learning really gets embedded for me. And essentially, it's the best of both worlds. You don't come out of university with a degree and not a full-time job. You have a full-time job alongside your degree, which is, for me, a real key point, because I remember being at university when I first left school and I was looking at third years and they were saying, I'm coming out of uni and I can't even secure a job. So for me, that was a really good reason of why to take on a degree apprenticeship. The benefits. So you get a degree at the end of it, zero debt, full training throughout, and then obviously you get a full-time wage and salary at the same time. So it's not like you're coming out with a degree with all this debt and you can't get a job. It's all wrapped up into one, and the benefits just outweigh a normal degree in my eyes. And construction especially is the best route into the industry is a degree apprenticeship, as opposed to a degree on its own. Obviously, there's other topics and subjects that are more relatable for you to just do a degree, but construction for me is key to do a degree apprenticeship. So just briefly about my experience. When I mentioned earlier that I've worked for Kier Utilities, our client, was Virgin Media. So we did the civils, engineering and duct work for on behalf of Virgin Media across the southeast and London. So here's a photo of me out on site attending one of our local jobs. I've also recently obtained SMSTS, the seats training scheme, and then I get to do events like you can see in the photo, which is attendance at Canterbury College Careers Fair, which I find really beneficial, and I do across the country for STEM and for the Construction Youth Trust as well. In the top right, you'll see a photo of me at a Meet the Buyer event. I organised and hosted this event for our supply chain last March for HMP Elmley. So what you do at Kier is it goes beyond what your normal job role is. You get experience of getting out on site and attending diversity and inclusion type events and managing them. So what you do in your job role goes beyond what is normally listed and just gives you lots of opportunities. So here's a couple of recent posts online. So the left one shows you my information about blog about Kier degree apprenticeship. The middle one shows you my attendance at a local diversity and inclusion evening event. And the right hand side, I've actually been nominated for a CIOB Emerging Talent Award, which we hear about in March. So yeah, really interesting, really great exposure for me in the industry at the minute. And future plans, complete my CIOB accreditation, which is Chartered Institute of Builders accreditation. Gain more experience out on site, because I've only been with construction for 1.5 years. Promotion to QS and complete the HMP only project. And at the end of it, be able to run my own project. I'd like to continue to support the younger generation and promote construction as a viable career path. My recent dissertation subject you can see on the left, which is actually to change perceptions, helping to recruit young females into the construction industry in the southeast. And I dove into the reasons why especially females are reluctant to join the construction industry. So yeah, thank you for listening to me today. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them through. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. We are sure that our audience has been inspired by your amazing career story to date. We wish you continued success and good luck with nabbing that award in March. So thank you very much for giving up your time today. And as Shannon mentioned, if you'd like to send any question in to her, you can email the STEM Hub at canterbury.ac.uk. Thank you, everyone.